Caden Dixon-Wise, another receiver from modern day that's committed to Ohio State. We're watching Chris Henry Jr. today. Similar situation. Not a similar body frame, to be completely honest. I don't think there's another receiver that's in the country that's going to be 6'5", 205. I know this kid's very highly touted. We don't have that much junior year tape, so we're going to have to rely on the sophomore tape a little bit. But before we even get into this, usually I don't look at the height and talk about it a whole lot unless it sticks out like 6'5" does. We're going to have a lot of questions about this kid's change of direction. We just have to knock that off the box. It's just going to be something we're looking at. It's going to be very hard to separate. Not necessarily separate, but going to be very hard for this kid to be like a dynamic route runner at 6'5". You watch a kid like Ted McMillan, who just got drafted, massive, and he moved very well. So we'll see if we're dealing with that or if this is just a straight, run and jump guy. Either way, 6'5" makes things a lot easier. At 6'5", you don't have to be as good of a route runner just because you have such a big catch radius. But we're just speculating here. We'll see how he actually looks. We only have 30 seconds of junior year film, and then we're going to go to sophomore film after this. But so this is the stuff we're expecting to show up, right? He's going to absolutely dominate at the catch point at 6'5". That's something that you can't teach. Now this is why he's a 5-star, why he's so highly touted. Make this a little smaller. He's taking up my whole screen. I got to make myself smaller here. Watch his footwork here. I'm more worried about less the change of direction and more the body contortion, how he contorts to the ball. You watch a guy like DK Metcalf coming out of Ole Miss, similar guy, 6'4", except he was so massive. He really struggles to turn around, and it's worked out in the NFL so far for him because he's just such a physical and athletic specimen. But something to worry about, I think, a little bit. Watch the footwork here. So just doing a little more digging. He actually had a knee injury, so he missed a good deal of the junior year. He actually only had 3 catches all year, and we saw 2 of them, so that's fine. So this is him at Withrow in Cincinnati, not modern day. So I was kind of hoping to see more modern day film just because the level of competition is so good there. Them specifically, they play such a good schedule, but that's okay. So, I'm just not supposed to move like this at 6'5". It makes it so hard on me because at the beginning I'm trying to make a point about how you can't be 6'5" and be that sudden. What Ted McMillan did was so rare. The way he moves. Look how sudden this dude is for 6'5". Even 24/7 thinks he's 6'4". We watch a lot of kids that are 5'11", 6'1", a lot shorter than this dude, and they certainly this hitch, this comeback here does not look that good. We're also going to have a lower bar for him because this is going to be sophomore highlights. Very excited to see the senior year film. It won't really matter for his recruiting. Obviously, he's already very well respected nationally, so it's not like the senior year film is going to push this kid up. Maybe it boosts his NIL value. So, that's something else. Years ago, Jesus, this kid could jump too. Or he just kicked his legs up and it looked like he jumped. I don't know. This is a conversation to be had. Years ago before NIL, a high school kid could just mail it in his senior year, just because he's already going to Ohio State. He doesn't really need to play. But now with NIL, you can boost your value just by playing even better and trying to leverage that. Oh, I'm going to go to LSU unless you kick my number up by 20 grand or something like that. Anyways, so elite catch radius with this kid, really good burst. We try to grade these taller prospects on a lower scale just because they're taller. Like like I was saying at the beginning of the video, they don't have to be quite as sudden as the 5'11" kids, but this kid moves just as well as them. So I think you're already kind of seeing the one knock that's going to be against these prospects is it's kind of hard to stay healthy at 6'5", I think. Just because you want to fill out, like you want to have like a big build, but at the same time, he's fast. Damn. You want to have a big build, but already at 6'5", like you got a lot of size on there. It's kind of hard to move at a college football, Ohio State, Big Ten level speed, putting any weight on, any more weight. So it's like, what is this kid's playing weight? Like he's not going to be 220. Talking about this with the other DN that we watched, the Tennessee kid, forget his name. But at high school, it's so hard for these 6'4", 6'5" kids to find a good balance for their weight, just because they're so long and they just grew this much. This kid wasn't 6'5" and coming into high school. Definitely hit a growth spurt at some point. So it's about like being used to moving with that size. And this kid already he doesn't look awkward when he moves. You see that, and that's another thing you see a lot with these kids, specifically tight ends, because usually when we're talking about a 6'5" prospect, we're talking tight end. A lot of these kids look like they just hit the growth spurt and they don't really know how to move at 6'5" yet. This kid certainly does. So we grade on a 6-point scale here. I think I'm going to give him an average, 4 out of 6 on the frame. No, I'm just playing. So we're going to give him a 6 on the frame. I'm going to give him a 5 on the change of direction, 5 on the burst, easy 6 on the ball skills, 5 on the long. I did see him get hawked a couple times. We'll give him a 4 on the long speed. Just for now, this is also film from 2 years ago. So when we watch the senior year film, we'll come on here and kind of change our mind maybe if we see something more. And then a 4 on the short area quickness. 82. That's not doing him justice. But we'll give him a 5 on the long speed. So I think very naturally you're going to have a lot of concerns about a kid this tall. Like I said at the beginning, just separating at a high level. Like, yeah, the change of direction, the burst, all the separation traits, they look good in high school, but we didn't really see that much film, and certainly not any film his junior year. So those are concerns to me. I think how tall he is. He moves very I'm not concerned about it at all. So definitely a top blue chip prospect. Just kind of depends on what you're looking for. Some teams, they don't really love having these guys. They'd rather have a guy that's like 5'11", but is a lot more sudden. But I think he's plenty sudden for how big he is. Easy top prospect. It'll be interesting to follow like Tet McMillan's career, because that's kind of a similar guy, I think, that you're gonna compare. And it's just it's so easy for me to make that comparison because that was like the tallest receiver in the last draft. But it wasn't like a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside situation that we're dealing with, where it was just a massive guy that's just a pure jump ball guy. Those guys really don't have that much value, in my opinion. That's not what we're dealing with here. I think this kid can be good separated. Definitely going to have to watch the senior year film. Definitely excited for that. But as of this point right now, yeah, easy good prospect. Thanks for watching.